Syncing, syncing, syncing. 1, 2. What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, what I want to do is break down some beat making for you guys. So recently, what I've been doing with my beats is going really deep back into my inspirations from very early on and creating some really raw sounding hip hop. So I've been using drum loops from records and taking tiny little bits from records and creating loops for people to rap over. So that's kind of been my approach for the last couple of weeks, and I thought I'd do a demonstration of how I've been putting these beats together. Now, this is just such a fun exercise, I think, and it could give you some inspiration to make some beats like this too. I've basically been trying to find the smallest little bits in records. I'll just hear a little stab or a little note here and there, and now, because of the way that my brain is thinking about making beats, I know that I can kind of take that and potentially make a whole beat with it. So that's what I'm going to do for this video. I'm going to give you all the samples as well, so if you want to recreate this beat, you can do, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff from it. I'll give you some little tips along the way as well to help make these kind of beats. And yeah, I've just been really loving these kind of raw lo-fi hip-hop beats at the moment, proper lo-fi hip-hop beats, and I thought I'd share some of this with you. So let's get to the 404 Mark II. That's the weapon of choice today. As usual, it has been featured in the channel very heavily over the last couple of months. I will try and mix things up a little bit more next year, but up until the end of the year now, I'm just going to stick with this beast and do as much as I can and share as much knowledge as I can with you guys. So let's get set up and let's get to making this beat. Okay guys, here we are down at the SP404 Mark II, and the first thing that I want to show you is this drum loop that I've got hold of. It's a really nice one, and if you go on Spotify and search Planet 9 ATA Records, this is called the Library Archive Volume 1, and this is a drum loop that I got from the start of that. So that was half that length, that was looped twice then. So I just wanted to make sure that I had that open hi-hat at the end because I really like that. So I went a little bit further than the start point of the track and found that bit of the loop, and I really like that. And this next track that I've sampled is called Summertime by Ohio Players. The Summertime is all one word. It's from an album called Backtracks, and I've had this track saved for a long time and never got round to doing anything with it. But today I listened through it again for the first time in a long time, and I noticed this horn stab. So this is the stab that I got. Really nice, and that hi-hat that you can hear is so faint that basically once the drums are laid over the top you can hardly even hear it. And just for the record as well, hopefully you can see on my screen that I've pitched this down 7, so I'll show you the original. It sounded like this. Quite nice, but two reasons why I did this. I always tend to downpitch samples because I like them to sound warmer, and I think that does happen when you downpitch them, and it adds a lot more character as well. And also, I needed this to be a little bit longer. I wanted it to last as long as possible, basically, so that when I'm trying to use this in a beat situation, I'm not going to get dead space where the sample stops because it's too short. So yeah, went down to -7. No particular reason really, I just like the sound of it at -7, and this is what it sounds like. So straight away, we've got one chop here. It's a very short piece. I think it's about 6 seconds in on the record. Really short. And we've got this drum loop, and straight away we can start making something that sounds like hip hop that could be used to back someone that's rapping. So check this out. If I just layer those two sounds that I've got now. Okay, so that's the amazing thing about this sampler and the amazing thing about hip-hop. You can start throwing ideas together very quickly, and I really like the vibe of that. It's definitely got some kind of Wu-Tang and MF Doom kind of vibes, I think, especially because it's a horn sample as well. But if we wanted to build a full track, this probably isn't going to be enough. Now, you do hear some very repetitive loops sometimes. If you're listening to rap tracks and you listen to the backing music or the backing beat, sometimes you can get something as basic as this. But for this example, I'm going to show you how you can spice things up a little bit. So that one chop, how are we going to make this a whole beat? Well, one of the things that we can do with the SP404 Mark II, which is really handy, is use the chromatic mode. So you can see it under here on pad 4, it says chromatic. And what you can do is put that pad onto a scale, and it will have all the different notes available. So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure that one's selected, and let's go Shift and 4. And now we have access to the chromatic scale here, and we can start hearing different notes like this. And apologies, I've just realised that my fingernails and fingers are absolutely filthy. It's just because I've been lighting a coal fire downstairs because it's very cold here in the UK at the moment. So apologies about that. I've only just realised when I started recording. So as you could hear there, we're already starting to make some ideas that sound relatively nice. I'd say that's probably one idea that sounds quite good, and there's another one which I was messing around with before. If we go back into that mode, sorry, it was something along the lines of this. I quite like that idea as well. So with this one stab, I don't actually think that's enough to make a full beat, but this definitely can be enough to fill out a verse. So if you're just having a verse in a hip-hop beat, I think that one stab can probably be enough just to go underneath the vocal and sound a bit like this. But then we will need something to mix it up. We do need a bit of a hook in a way. So let's go back into chromatic mode again. And before we do that, let's get the drum loop going, and then we'll go into chromatic mode. So let's start that. Okay, so that's one idea there, and if you saw the second time round, I had to press the second pad a few times and create some sort of rhythm that would fill out the space because it was actually finishing before I wanted it to, so I had to create a new pattern in order to fill out that space. So that was one idea that could be used throughout the beat, or it could be used as the hook, and then we'll do that other idea that I was experimenting around with as well. Okay, kind of a big fan of that. I really like the sound of that. It sounds kind of dark and eerie. I love that sound in a hip-hop beat. I love to get those dark sounds, so that was working really nicely. So what you can see here, guys, I've only taken a very small piece of a track and put it onto the SP404-MK2, and we can start building all sorts of interesting ideas, which will be more than enough to back someone rapping over the top of these. Now, one final thing that I wanted to do is put the bus effects on, because that hasn't even had any treatment whatsoever. That's just the raw loops and slightly repitched. So let's go ahead and put my favourite MFX on my buses. So just to show you these two, on bus 3 I've got 303 vinyl sim, and on bus 4 I've got 404 vinyl sim. Nice coincidence there that they're both on 3 and 4 and they're 303 and 404. Not really intentional. So on bus 3 with the 303 vinyl sim, I'm just basically adding compression, and on 404 vinyl sim, I'm just adding some character with the effects that you get on that. I'm not using any noise. I was previously, but I've just taken it off for this beat because it sounds actually better without the noise generation. And now, if we play that beat with these effects on, it makes such a big difference. So let's get this going. So this is without the MFX on, and then we'll put them on. I mean, that drum loop has already come to life massively. And one final thing that I wanted to note is that when I'm looking for these samples, I'm listening for samples that preferably don't have drums or as little drums as possible. And you can hear from this sample as well, there's also a lot of low end. So listen to the bass note hit at the start of this sample. And what that means is I don't have to overlay any bass either, so it's saving me a job because there's already low end on there. So that's a really, really good sample because it's got all the frequencies that we want on it, and it's given us a platform to be able to make this whole beat, and we're not having to do any work with the bass, which is really nice. And we've managed to stretch it out and fit it over this bar as well. So all in all, with very limited resources, I've managed to create quite a cool, dark sounding hip hop beat with pretty limited effort as well, thanks to the power of the SP404 Mark II. That's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, I really, really appreciate it. Smash that thumbs up if you can, if you enjoyed this video or if you learned something. And if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe because I'm always sharing tips for SP devices and beat making. So if that's your jam, I'd really appreciate it if you wanted to subscribe and get notifications about my videos. Don't forget to check out the merch on SPVIDZ.com. This is my postcard tee. Like I've mentioned with my other t-shirts, these are mock-ups, so this actually has been moved up a little bit since this was made. So it sits a little bit higher and looks a little bit better. But yeah, check out SPVIDZ.com if you want to pick up that. I've got drum packs on there too. I'll be back with more content soon, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Keep making beats. Peace.